So we had the debut of Monday Night Raw on Netflix this week. And not surprisingly, the WWE was going to go all out, bring in a bunch of the old heads, try to get a cheap pop, but really, trying to appeal, especially to those casuals that might have Netflix and see WWE Raw trending and be like, oh, okay, let me go check it out. And they might see some of the names of the past, recognize them, be like, oh, okay. And then the ladies that don't watch WWE see, let's say, Roman Reigns, and they instantly get wet and they think about how they want to make their mistake with them, blah, 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 right? Like, that's why you use the old heads, the legends, is you use them to draw in eyeballs, and hopefully they'll stick around for other things associated with your product. Now, of course, one of the big stories coming out of Raw on Monday night was the appearance of Hulk Hogan to hawk his Real American piss water beer with the mouth of the South, Jimmy Hot, baby, behind him waving the flag like a fucking fool. And after like an initial kind of pop when the music hit and Hogan comes out, then, the boos started coming. And why would be surprised by that? It led to this kind of weird discourse I saw on Twitter over the past couple of days around why Hulk Hogan was getting booed. And you have a number of people that are claiming, and I'm sure a lot of them are conservative, whatever, like believe your own bullshit if you want, that Hulk Hogan was getting booed because he's MAGA, because he was in fucking liberal California. And it just represents a couple of things. Number one, sheer stupidity. Number two, disconnection from reality. Number three, a demonstrated lack of capability in being able to think of something beyond just a binary yes or no, A or B type of thought process. Let's be clear here. Hogan getting booed, Bogan getting hooed, Hogan getting booed has a variety of different drivers. But I promise you the primary one of those is not because he's a fucking conservative, he's a fucking MAGA man, he's an enthusiastic Trump supporter. That's stupid. Like, that is so stupid. Just the whole concept of that on so many different levels is so fucking stupid. Number one, last I checked, Taker made an appearance on the same show. He is proudly MAGA, Blue Lives Matter bullshit. And the fans don't care and they fucking cheer him. You don't think Triple H is fucking MAGA? Come on, man. Like a whole McMahon family? Linda worked in the last Trump administration. Isn't she slated to do it again? And if we're being really real here, especially when it comes to the male wrestling roster, there is no question that the majority of them are conservatives at a minimum, and many of them proudly, enthusiastically MAGA, even if they don't come out overtly in public and say so, right? Like, let's establish that baseline. Wrestling's always kind of been that way. It's certainly no fucking different now. And so what? I don't have to politically agree with somebody's opinions in order to determine whether I want to watch them or support them as a wrestler. And like, the world is so much more simplistic when we don't have to think like that, because frankly, who gives a fucking shit? Because if I sat there and worried so much about the world based off of my own individual worldview, I wouldn't have any friends or anybody that I supported or anybody that I liked in any way, shape, or fucking form. But to sit there and pretend like fans were booing him because of that is just fucking dumb. Really, really dumb. Is there a bit of an undercurrent of that? Like, that's a little bit and it's another layer for some wrestling fans to dislike Hogan even more? Sure, you can't totally dismiss it. But to point to that as a sole, primary, or even majority driver of the dislike by modern WWE fans for Hulk Hogan is just idiotic. There are a couple main drivers of this. Number one is a lot of fans view Hulk Hogan as a racist, and don't like the fact when this shit came out about 9 years ago, he was very half-assed in his apology and his approach. Myself included. When I was growing up, like, Hogan was my favorite wrestler of all time. And still technically is. So many of the things that have happened in my life are directly associated with being a Hulk Hogan fan. Like, so many things. Down to friendships, the starting of the YouTube shit, all of that ties back to being a Hulk Hogan mark. So it fucking pisses me off that he was like that and then didn't take real ownership or accountability for it and just acted like it was no big deal and only needed like a cursory half-ass apology. So yeah, it's fuck him. It's not that hard of a concept to grasp here. But that's the main driver of why fans wouldn't like Hogan. They think, understandably so, he's a fucking racist who not only said racist shit, but then didn't acknowledge the impact, significance of said racist shit, and then associates themselves with certain perspectives that don't really seem to care about that. But it goes even beyond that. It's Hulk Hogan and his constant bullshit and lying over the fucking years. It's Hulk Hogan doing business for Hulk Hogan, brother. And you start layering this together. It's this heap of Hulkamania shit, right? It's the racism. It's the selfishness. It's the bullshit artist. It's the going into business for himself. It's the fans even can sit there and see that he's clearly just out there to hawk his real American beer piss water. And people not liking that shit. And yes, maybe a little bit of that as a like ancillary piece is some of his overtly expressed political opinions. But it's not solely, exclusively, primarily driven by the fact that he's a card-carrying conservative or a MAGA member, and anybody that has convinced himself of that or believes that is a fucking idiot. And we need to call it out like this. In fact, that's a big problem when it comes to wrestling. It's a big problem when it comes to America now. Is we're so worried about not pissing people off. Sometimes we just need to call stupidity stupidity. And we don't need to respect other opinions that are just fucking idiotic. Fucking idiotic. Fucking idiotic. If somebody tells you they think that Josh Allen is better than Patrick Mahomes. Okay, I don't agree with that opinion overall, but there is an argument somebody could potentially make, or it's enough in the stratosphere of possibility where you say like, okay, I could disagree with that, but that's not ridiculous. But if somebody were to come and say they think Trevor Lawrence is better than Patrick Mahomes, or a Dak Prescott is better than a Patrick Mahomes, or a Tua Tagovailoa is better than fucking Patrick Mahomes. Like, this is fucking stupid. That is an invalid opinion. You don't just get to make up any type of bullshit opinion and say, hide behind, well, it's my opinion, and opinion can't be wrong. Opinions can be wrong all the fucking time. They have to be based on some type of factual basis, some type of fucking reality. And sitting there and pretending like these much lesser quarterbacks are at the Patrick Mahomes level is not a valid opinion. It's an idiotic, stupid-ass opinion and should be treated as such, and the people espousing dumb shit like that should be treated as the morons that they want to portray themselves to be. They've opened up their mouths and let the whole world know how stupid they are. Same thing here. Newsflash to the MAGA fucks and the conservatives of the world. The world's not out to get you. You're not oppressed. You're not. Hogan did not get booed because of his political beliefs. He got booed because people see him as a fucking racist, a selfish ass, a liar, a bullshit artist, a con man. And then you throw a little sprinkles or cherry on the top. Some people may not agree with his political beliefs. Now what's crazy about this is I'm fully convinced and fully believe, without any real factual basis, but it's just a belief, right? Is that Triple H did this intentionally. He sent Terry out there to get booed. Because I can imagine now Hulkster's like, well, there's a way for me to make some money, brother. Hunter, we could sit there and we could do this, brother. And we could have me portray a heel character, brother. And then we could put me in a match, brother. And we could get me a big payout, brother. Like, one thing Hogan has never been is stupid when it comes to sensing opportunities to make himself some money. But I fully believe what Triple H said about there, understanding it was a very high likelihood of Hulk getting booed, and frankly kind of wanting him to get booed because that's a bygone era of wrestling that Hunter would largely like to forget. Just saying. And to this whole thing of like, well, he got booed because of his political beliefs, let's put it this way. If Vince McMahon showed up on the Raw on Netflix, he would have gotten cheered. We know he's a Trumper. We know he's a very proud conservative and has been for a long fucking time. We also know all the bullshit he's done in the industry, not to mention his sexual allegations, if you will. And you say, well, there's no way. Again, it's an invalid opinion. You're fucking stupid if you think if Vince McMahon doesn't show up to the Intuit Dome Monday and doesn't get one of the biggest reactions of the night and wouldn't get cheered like crazy. Are you fucking insane? People have known all this bullshit about Vince for so many years, and he'd still show up and still get a big-ass, loud-ass fucking pop. The only thing that ever aggravates me about the whole Hogan thing is people are fully in their right, by the way, to hate Hogan because of the racism that he represents and his lack of real accountability for that and understanding of the impact of those words. It's totally valid and legit, and I get it, and I understand it. It's kind of the hypocrisy of they'll boo a Hogan and hate him to no end, but if Vince McMahon shows up, who's the one person, granted, in WWE history or wrestling history that's more important than Hulk Hogan overall, Vince will get cheered. Stone Cold Steve Austin is a wife beater, like documented wife beater. But if he showed up on Netflix, people would go fucking crazy. Mike Tyson, convicted rapist, not an opinion, a legal fact, convicted rapist. And even if we still have some questions 3+ decades ready later around like the real facts of that case and the reality is convicted rapist. But if Mike Tyson shows up on the Raw on Netflix, he's fucking getting a huge pop. I just want some consistency here. Like sexual assault, rape, woman beating, pretty equivalent on the shitty meter to racism, are they not? And if they're not, then we really need to have some fucking conversations about our goddamn priorities in the society, because I would view them as like all really fucking bad and real reasons you should not want to like or support somebody. But if an Austin shows up, a McMahon shows up, a Tyson shows up, loud cheers. A Hogan shows up, and he's booed. Hey, look, like Hogan frankly deserves to get fucking booed, right? I'm just calling out the hypocrisy of this all. But at the end of the day, like pointing to just the politics is this kind of victim mentality bullshit of, oh, it's conservative. No, it fucking isn't. Like it is a disregard for the decades of baggage and history that is associated with Hulk Hogan. It's trying to make yourself a victim when you're not a fucking victim. Get the fuck over it. We frankly need to be a little tougher in this country. We need to stop acting like goddamn pussies, and we need people to stop acting like everything is a fucking victim mentality of, oh my God, the world's out to get me. You know what? Yes, it is. Ironically, I'll go back to Vince McMahon. The best life advice you could ever fucking get. Life sucks, and then you die. Either way, think whatever you want. But if you think Hulk Hogan got booed because of his politics and that's the primary driver, you're fucking wrong, period.